your best friend could also be like, your true love in a sense of like, a soulmate. And I feel like you guys really
Yeah.
do that. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Oh, thank you so much. That's such a high compliment.
Hi, I'm Kristen Maldonado from Pop Culture Planet. It's so great to meet you both. How you doing?
Good. I would be remiss to not say happy
Yeah,
birthday.
happy birthday,
Spend my
Kristen.
birthday with you guys. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Hey,
Yay!
everyone, it's Kristen's birthday. Thanks for spending it with us.
Woo!
Now, I mean, this movie is so much fun. I'd love to know what inspired it. Like, where did the initial story come from?
Writing this movie was interesting. It was the very first feature I had ever written, and so I wanted to write what I knew about. And I am very lucky to have some wonderful, long-standing friendships in my life. And I thought, what's easier to write about than like the love for my friends that I experience so constantly? And my friends, my two childhood best friends that I met in the fifth grade, I'm still friends with to this day, and they are in town right now to celebrate the premiere. So it's a lasting thing to decide to write a script about, certainly.
They're under the bed right now.
Yeah, they're hiding under the bed, just out of frame.
So,
That's the extra breathing you hear back there. Anyway.
Yeah.
so for you, Kim, what kind of drew you to this project when it came to directing? Did you also have like, those friendships growing up that kind of connected
Yeah,
you?
absolutely. I just felt like the core of it is just like how important your friends are. And I just think like no matter where you are in life or whatever you're doing, friends can often be your chosen family. Your friendships can sometimes, they can be more impactful sometimes and even more devastating actually than romantic relationships. So something that was like so centered on that, but it was also such a fun ride and was so funny. Like those are just all things that I knew it could be a great film. So all of those things drew me to it. DJ script, amazing.
You have such an amazing cast here. You got a lot of young, like rising stars. How did that come together? Like, and what made like Julia and Antonia like the right fit for these two best friends?
But we should just say that, our casting director, Melissa Delizia, she's awesome. And she helped us put together this dream cast that we have, basically. We were already like really big fans of Julia and Antonia's. Their work is so great. And we just really loved that they could be all the things to themselves and to each other, which we really felt like would resonate with the audience. They're both hilarious, but they can go so deep too. And just being able to kind of like excavate these characters with them was just it was such a great experience to do this with them. They're both so amazing and we love them so much. We feel very fortunate that they're part of the cast, along with our entire cast, obviously. Kenny Ridwan, Jordan Buhat, JT, Neil. They're everyone's amazing.
It felt really important to us to have people who looked like they were actually friends with each other, like who actually enjoyed each other's company. And our cast, we shot out in Syracuse, and none of our cast is from there, so they got quite close. And exactly like Kim was saying, our entire like main cast. I think just we were very lucky. I mean, they're skilled, that's why it happened, but we were also very lucky that they genuinely got along and they enjoyed each other's company because I think you could really feel that in those moments where, there's a romantic moment or there's a moment of tension, they had to build those layers of friendship for that to feel really real. So we were just very lucky.
Everyone's friends off screen too. So, what
Mhm.
you're yeah, it's like that energy just really transferred. You can feel it in the film as well.
I'd love to also hear a little bit more about, for you, Julia, your connection with Antonia and like playing these best friends and sort of, I feel like there is this sort of your best friend could also be like, your true love in a sense of like, a soulmate. And I feel like you guys really
Yeah.
do that. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Oh, thank you so much. That's such a high compliment. It's such an abrupt friendship that you have to create when you're, partners with somebody on screen and you have to portray this like lifelong love and friendship for each other. And I mean, Antonia and I met like 3 days before we had to start filming and we hit it off right away. There was such an ease about our the language that we spoke and just who we were as people. And I love that it's so obvious on screen because we were like, oh yeah, we got this. We can play best friends like easy. So, and we had such an amazing time behind the scenes. She is just so wonderful. I adore her. So it was a really special experience with her.
I'd love to talk a little bit more about Julia's role because I love that she has a coming out story, but it's not like your typical like overly dramatic, like sad type of. It's like fun, like she's really like going on a journey of self-discovery in like a really positive way. And I was wondering if you could speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm queer and trans and came out as those things at different times in my life. And I've been very lucky to have a lot of support in my life. So I didn't want to depict something that hadn't been true for me. It felt weird to like, there are certainly many people who have that terrible experience coming out, don't get me wrong. But because that wasn't my experience, it felt wrong to kind of dramatize that. And instead, it was really fun for me to let a queer character have fun. I feel like there's constant jokes and conversation about like every lesbian movie being a period piece where two women like touch fingers for 5 seconds and then never see each other again. It was like important to me that Julia's character had a good time over the course of the movie and have those kind of like flagship experience, well, those very important experiences, those milestones that you have through coming out, kind of in a condensed format in this movie. Kissing a girl for the first time, asking a girl out, those kinds of things that are very much real parts of queer and more specifically lesbian culture.
It's exactly what you said. It's a really authentic, natural, very chill queer storyline for this character who is newly discovering herself. And something that I also love about it is that every single person around her is loving and supportive. And we need to see more of that. That's the world that I was fortunate to grow up in and the world that I want to see around me. And so I love that we get to tell these stories in such a positive light that make people feel good.
I completely agree. I think it's nice to obviously it's nice to have projects that center around like the struggles of being queer and all that stuff, but like it's also just as nice and important to have movies that are just not like so traumatic necessarily, but more just like, oh yeah, they happen to be queer. Like it's not really made a huge deal in the movie at all. It's just like, yeah, it's just like a thing. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. And so I think it's lovely to be a part of something like this type of representation.
You guys each play very funny but different characters from each other. And so I was wondering how you sort of, found your character within, the role that you're playing.
I've really always been a hopeless romantic. And maybe I haven't been through Greg's specific situation, but I've definitely been in a situation where, you love someone who's changing and you have to love them through that. And I think that's sort of something I brought to the character that I really wanted to portray.
Luca is just so much fun to try and figure out. And so I really liked just understanding the why he is the way that he is and says and does the things that he does. So just being able to connect with the reasons that maybe Jess was even with him in the first place. Jess and Luca's arc is about her maybe not being with him or shouldn't be with him, but I like to kind of figure out why she was even with him in the first place before it was just about prom pact. There was something that Jess might have liked about him.
I gotta ask you, Kenny, about your promposal performance. That was so much fun. You almost had like a power line, like you're in the rafters, hanging from the ceiling. Could you tell me about what it was like filming that whole scene?
They actually hired a choreographer for the bananas, and he had one conversation with me beforehand. And I don't know what I was on, but I sort of just was like, I got this. And I started dancing for him, and he was like, that's enough. You don't need to do any more. You just do that. And yeah, it was a very interesting experience. It was probably one of the first times I've ever danced in front of a crowd I really didn't know, and I'm not a dancer. I seem like I don't know if I seem like one, but yeah, it was a great experience, and for some reason, people love putting me in a harness, like hoisting me in the air. So that was a cool experience too, but I've surprisingly done that a few times.
What were some of your favorite scenes to bring to life?
All my scenes were really with Juge, and she crushed it in every single. I mean, like, she's an incredible actress, and one of the first scenes that in the movie, or actually I think the first scene is when she is choking on her gum and then, by chance farting in front of me. And so it's like, that was such a funny scene. I think we did have to do a bunch of takes, like, because it is just so funny, and she's so good at it. Sometimes physical comedy I think can be so hard, but she does just such a good job. And that was one of my most memorable ones. Obviously being at prom itself was cool too, and seeing how that got to play out instead of it being necessarily like, oh, we're gonna date forever now. I thought it was kind of cool that it was like, no, look, let me just be your friend. Like, that felt actually very heartwarming to me.
That was a really fun and silly scene to do. And yeah, it's always fun when you get to share like a really fun comedy moment with another great comedic actor. So that was really cool.
I think my favorite moment is at prom when Hannah's on stage and she's singing her song to me. And I think Greg goes through a realization that he's happy for Hannah, that she's embracing who she is as a person.
One of my favorite moments filming is my one scene that I had with JT Neal. He plays Hannah's brother, and there's just this nose to nose kind of face off for Jess, and it was we just kind of got to play. Director Kim said, just go at each other and just insult each other, and it was probably some of the times where I broke the most. That was one of my favorite scenes to film.
You both have starred in iconic Disney properties. Julia as Ashlyn in High School Musical the series, and Terry as Aspen in the Zombies franchise. So I was curious how you feel your characters would fare in the world of Prom Dates.
Oh, I think maybe the use of drugs and alcohol might be kind of jarring for these little Disney babies, but I think they'd fit right in. I mean, Ashley would be like, yeah, we're my queer people. Like, yeah, they'd be friends.
The kids get it. Gen Z gets it. They're growing
We have
up.
it.
You know what I mean? So they have TikTok. It's over.
That's true. Yeah.
But no, of course I get it. And I think it worked out though, because it wasn't like such a stark contrast. It was just a little bit more toned up in adult comedy, I guess. But I thought it slipped right in. I really liked it. Yeah.
I want to thank you both so much for your time, and congratulations. I know people are going to have a lot of fun with this one.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Consider subscribing if you like this video and get even more entertainment news at popcultureplanet.net. See ya!